The Atlanta Braves are reportedly interested in a left-handed hitting outfielder this winter in free agency who is and is not a good fit. Let's talk about it. Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today for Tuesday, November 26th. Your source of news, notes, and updates on your Atlanta Braves. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Crosby Baseball. You can follow the show on Twitter, Braves_Today. We have a Facebook page and Instagram as well. You can find all of my written work, bravestoday.com, as this is both a podcast and a newsletter. And we actually got some news yesterday. So much of this offseason to this point has been talking about either a non-tender decision, an option decision, or things like that, or nothing, silence. Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic wrote a piece, a offseason notebook, on Monday morning. And one of the notes in there was on what Atlanta has done so far in free agency. And spoiler alert, they freed up a lot of money. And he, from there, talked about what the Braves plan to do. And unexpectedly, he dropped a little bit of news. He said that, obviously, part of the reason for letting Ramon Laureano go was the money, $6.1 million. And the outfield, as currently constructed, isn't an incredibly deep group. Michael Harris, Jared Kelenic, Eli White, Luke Williams, Carlos D. Rodriguez, and Ronald Acuña Jr. is your group right now. And he said the Braves' preference is for a left-handed hitter. Harris, Kelenic, Matt Olson, and Ozzie Albies, who's a switch hitter, are the only lefty options on the roster as of right. Now, obviously, they're open to a right-hander if that is the right fit, whether it's money, defensively, clubhouse, whatever. But the goal is a left-handed hitting bat. So I want to talk about why they would want a lefty hitting bat. I want to talk about some of the options that you may see them be interested in, some guys who would fit what Atlanta likes to do, and also some guys that might seem like really interesting names, but names they're probably not going to go after for different reasons. Quick programming note, we have a show tomorrow. This is the weekly mailbag. It'll be on Wednesday. Send me your questions. Again, we've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can leave them in comments on YouTube. You can email me, contact@bravestoday.com. Send me your questions for the Wednesday mailbag. There is no show on Thursday. And then Friday's show is going to be, if you were to try to reset the CBT, what players could you go cheaply sign? We're going off the Black Friday theme here. Okay, so I want to start off with the understanding that the Braves offense doesn't really have a problem hitting left-handed pitching, okay? This is something like, yes, it makes sense that they want to get more balance in the lineup, okay? But last year, this lineup, despite missing Ozzie Albies for a while, despite missing Michael Harris for a little while, so some of those lefty batters, this offense was actually better against lefties than righties. The Atlanta Braves in 2024 batted .257 against lefty pitchers and .239 against righties. This was also pretty evenly split among handedness, right? Atlanta's lefty hitters hit .262 against lefties, and Atlanta's righty hitters hit .256 against righties. The slugging was within 5 points of each other. So Atlanta's lefties and Atlanta's righties can both hit left-handed pitching. So I think that's why Ken Rosenthal is saying if a righty is the better fit, they'll do that, but they would like to have a left-handed hitter. Because if you think about Michael Harris, who I love and I think could be an all-star this year, has missed some time recently in the last couple seasons for minor issues, It was a lot of time last year, but before that, it was minor issues. Jarred Kelenic isn't a lock to be an everyday starter in 2025, given the offensive issues he still hasn't completely worked out. Ozzie Albies isn't a lock to be completely healthy in 2025. 3 of your 4 lefties that you're expecting to have in the lineup every day could very well not be in the lineup every day. So it makes sense that you would want to find another lefty bat for balance, even though you don't necessarily have a fundamental issue or a weakness against lefties. So know that this isn't a hard thing they have to do, right? It's not something where you must sign a lefty. It's something where the preference is to sign a lefty because that gives you the ability to still have enough lefties in your lineup where someone to miss time, where you can break up a string of righties and not let opposing teams have as easy of a time with their bullpen matchups. That is the reason. You're not required to find a lefty because you can't hit lefties. Again, last year, you hit lefties better than righties. In 2023, you hit lefties so well that you only face a lefty starter 32 times in the entire season because you hit lefties so well that opposing teams in 2023 were changing their rotations to avoid having lefties start against you. Lefty starters against the Braves, Atlanta hit 290 with 60 home runs in 32 starts. Let's be completely clear. Atlanta did not have an issue in the last couple seasons with this same core of players of hitting lefties. But it makes sense you'd want to find some lefties. I don't necessarily think that the very top of the market is where Atlanta's going to go for a lot of different reasons, right? This is the same story we've always done. Atlanta's never really been a top of the market team. There's a really cool tool on MLB Trade Rumors if you're a subscriber, like if you have a paid membership to their contract tracker, where you can see the history of free agent contracts given out by a specific general manager. Under Alex Anthopoulos in Atlanta, the Braves have only given out 3 free agent contracts of more than 2 years. And that is Will Smith, he got 3 years and $40 million. Ronaldo Lopez, 3 years and $30 million last offseason. And Marcell Ozuna, 4 years and $65 million. And I'll clarify on this that Marcell Ozuna was technically a re-signing after he had a 1-year deal with Atlanta. They brought him back on another deal. AA is just not the type of general manager that does long-term commitments in free agency. What Alex Anthopoulos would rather do is trade for a guy that already has a contract, Raisel Iglesias, for instance, or extend his own guy, sometimes even soon after you get him, right? Sean Murphy, Matt Olson, right? Signed extensions. Olson signed an extension the same weekend he came to Atlanta. Chris Sale signed an extension pretty soon after coming to Atlanta as well. Atlanta AA would rather sign a guy to a shorter deal or trade for a guy and extend him than they would go out and sign a guy to a multi-year deal in free agency. So because of that, it feels like it's pretty safe to argue there's a couple lefty hitting outfielders in the market that Atlanta is not going to go out and be involved in their free agency. Juan Soto is probably getting $600 million, right? Yes, Juan Soto would make the Atlanta Braves better. Yes, they have the money to afford Juan Soto. All of the financial moves that they've made, and we did a piece on the Substack on Monday afternoon about all of the money the Braves freed up and what if they're if they're trying to reset the CBT. You've got $60 million in salary freed up. You could afford Juan Soto and still not be higher than last year's payroll. Now, they probably don't want to do that, because he'd be making more than double what any other player is making on this roster, and that's always a tough thing for the clubhouse. Remember, nobody on this roster is making more than $22 million a year. Not a single person. Not Matt Olson, not Austin Riley, not Spencer Strider, no one. And the only one player under Alex Anthopoulos has signed for more than $22 million, and that was a one-year deal for Josh Donaldson at $23 million in 2019. Now, the caveat here is the Freddie Freeman money the offer was more than $22 million a year. The Aaron Nola deal that was reported by Philly media that AA has pushed back and said wasn't quite accurate, but that was for reportedly more than $22 million. Atlanta has been willing to go above that for certain players, but it's not happened a lot, and I don't expect them to more than double that for Juan Soto. The same boat, Jurickson Profar, Anthony Santander. Profar is going to sign a multi-year deal. Santander's a switch hitter, but going to sign a multi-year deal. I expect both of them to have a longer commitment than Atlanta wants to make. Do I think Santander is something where he would be your logical replacement for Marcell Ozuna? He's a negatively ranked defender, a negative base runner, but he can mash. 44 homers, 102 RBI last year. He has a qualifying offer, but you could work out something for Anthony Santander where he played left field for a year, and then when Marcell Ozuna left, he was your primary DH. But qualifying offer, he's going to take a multi-year commitment, and again, AA's given out exactly 3 of those to free agents in his tenure. I don't know if Santander will be that guy. There are a couple options, though, that you can really see fitting into Atlanta with what they like to do, the profiles they like, how they like to try to go out and find some value, and things like that. We'll break those down next, right here on Braves Today. Welcome back to Braves Today. Lindsay Crosby talking about Ken Rosenthal's note that the Braves want a lefty hitting outfielder to add to the mix for 2025. And to me, this is not inside information. This is speculation working off of what I know about this team and the way that they like to evaluate guys. To me, the top 2 targets should be Max Kepler and Michael Conforto. Now, both of these guys are probably going to take a multi-year deal to sign. Now, can you get them in that 3-year range? Maybe. Kepler's 31. He'll be 32 in February. Conforto is 31. He'll be 32 in March. Maybe you can sign them to a 3-year deal. You don't have to go that long. But let's talk about why I like these guys. So Kepler first, because I think I like Kepler more. He's a 6'4", 225. He's a big boy, right? German. I think he at one point in time was the only German player in baseball. But he has fantastic raw power. He's had some good homer years. And when you're looking at great homer years, you have to throw out 2019. He was with that Twins team. Eddie Rosario was also there. That set, at the time, the record for most home runs in a single season with 307. The 2023 Braves since tied that record but didn't beat it. But that was the juiced ball year. You have to take that with a grain of salt. Ever since then, he's had some really interesting, and not in a great way, trends with his production. Okay? 2020, he hit 9 homers in 48 games. This extends out to 27-28 in a normal 162-game season. I'm not worried about that. In 2021, he bats .211 with 19 homers. Not great. 2022, he bats .227 but with only 9 homers, and he played 115 or more games in both seasons. Double digits, just under 20, just under 10. He rebounds in 23. He bats .260 with 24 homers. You like to see that, right? Batting average goes up 40 points. He more than doubles his home run total. 130 games. 2024, 105 games. He finished the year on the IL. 8 home runs, 253 average, 380 slugging. I don't know what it is about odd years versus even years for Max Kepler. There's something there about it. For some reason, he struggles in even years and he likes odd years, which means it's the right time to sign him because you're coming up on an odd year season. Side note, Ozzy Albies also has an interesting trend like that, where he plays a lot more in odd years than even years. 2021, 156 games. He's an all-star with 30 homers. 2022, 64 games. 2023, 148 for Ozzy with 33 homers. 2024, 99 games. So Ozzy also has an upswing in odd number years. So Kepler and Ozzy together, you feel pretty good about what they should do next season, and then you worry about 26. But here's the thing. Max Kepler, still a positive defender. He, again, has that great power, and he has fixed, it seems like he has fixed some of those contact and batting average issues that he was having a few years ago, right? Hard hit rate is, when he's on, he's right at MLB average, 39 or so % on a hard hit rate. The seasons that he's not, he's close to or under 30%. So he's below average. Again, it's an odd profile. He struck out 15% of the time last year. MLB average was 22.6, so it's a higher contact bat than a lot of the options you have on the roster right now. Walk rate, 6.2% below average, but decent here. Again, he can contribute defensively, which you like that. I don't know what he would cost. Spot Track has him at $10.6 million a year on a 3-year deal, just under $32 million. $10 million AAV for, say, a 3-year deal. I don't hate the concept of that. Michael Conforto is in the flip side of the profile from Max Kepler. Michael Conforto is grading out as a negative defender right now, but offensively, he's been able to contribute more. He was plus 11 run value on offense in 2024, but defensively, he wasn't great. Now, he came out 237, 20 homers, 66 RBI, while being a negative defender in left field. But it really feels like Michael Conforto wasn't the best fit for San Francisco's ballpark, and a lot of his expected numbers and his inputs were a lot better than the conventional stats, okay? So, Michael Conforto, again, 237, expected batting average of 257 based on his batted ball inputs. They thought his batting average should be 20 points higher. His expected his actual slugging for Michael Conforto, have that here, hang on. Actual slugging for Michael Conforto last year was 450. They had his expected slugging of 479, which is 89th percentile in baseball. His barrel rate, 80th percentile, 11.8%. His hard hit percentage, 46%, 77th percentile. The inputs are really good, and it feels like he would do better in Truist versus Oracle Park. I also do think with Michael Conforto, there's a little bit of health issue to be mindful of when you look at the monthly splits and things like that. He strained his hamstring in mid-May. He was batting 280 prior to the hamstring strain. June and July, when he came back, he slumped to 164 for those 2 months. And then after July, from August on, he batted 265 down the stretch. So a healthy Michael Conforto played much better than the overall actual numbers looked like. MLB Trade Rumors has him in their top 50 free agents, which they gave predictions for. They said 2 years, $18 million. I don't hate the idea of 2 years, $18 million. Gives you the option to platoon as you need to with Jared Kelenic. If you want Kelenic to play every day down in Gwinnett, you could do that too. You could have Eli White or somebody else as your backup. But either way, it's absolutely not a bad choice to go with Michael Conforto, understanding that having Michael Harris next to him defensively can help mitigate some of the defensive issues you've seen so far, and you can always defensive swap in for him. He's not as bad as like Jorge Soler and guys were. He's not an awful defender. He just came out below average on StatCast defensively, and a lot of that came back to his range. His arm strength is actually pretty good, but he got a negative value grading on his range. So that's something, some better positioning, a smaller left field. I think you'd be fine with Michael Conforto. Before I move on to the depth options, real quick clarification. I gave some strikeout numbers for Max Kepler. Those were not Max Kepler's. Apparently those were Ozzie Albies' numbers. Kepler's in a similar situation. His walk rate cratered to a career low 5.5%, but outside of that, he's always been better than MLB average when it came to walks, right? 11%, 11.2. His strikeout rate had always been below 20% up until the last 2 seasons. Quick clarification there, not sure how I got the wrong tab, but I had Ozzie Albies' strikeout and walk rates and not Max Kepler's strikeout and walk rates. Sorry about that. You look at some of the depth options, I like the idea of Alex Verdugo. And Yankees fans hate Alex Verdugo. And I don't really know what this is. I talked to some Yankees fans who I'm friends with. We're in a baseball Discord together. And they explained that, like, in the clubhouse, he's really liked. He plays good defense. He just offensively slumped after he left Boston, which he gets a little bit of hate from Yankees fans for playing for Boston. But, like, he was traded. He didn't choose to come to the Yankees. He was traded to the Yankees. He had no say in it. But what they're talking about is the 4 years he was in Boston, he batted .308, .289, .280, .264. Last year in New York, .233. So he slumped in just about every regard offensively. Like, his OPS was around 800, 770, 800 in his Boston career. And then with the Yankees, you know, again, slumped to .233 average, 647 OPS. But defensively, he is a good defender. He was 72nd percentile in run value, good range, incredibly strong arm. Would give Atlanta some of the best outfield arms in all of baseball, like right up there with the Rockies and Nolan Jones and Brenton Doyle. And it's Kelenic, Verdugo, Harris, Acuña, all of them would have great arms. Sprint speed isn't amazing, but he makes the best out of it as far as his squared up percentage, which is making optimal contact as measured by bat speed and all that stuff, 96th percentile. So the quality of his contact is very good. His exit velocities aren't amazing, but the quality of his contact is pretty good. His chase rate is well below average. 25.5% is 70th percentile. His whiff rates are some of the lowest in the league. 15.5% whiff rate, it's 93rd percentile. His strikeout rates, 15%, some of the best in the league, 88th percentile. Now, he walks right at league average, 7.9%, 49th percentile. He walks right at league average, but there's a lot to like about Alex Verdugo. Don't let the fact that Yankees fans hated him for some reason be a reason to be concerned about Alex Verdugo. The thing here, it was weird last year. He actually hit righties better than lefties. 7 points, but still legitimately odd there. In his career, he's been a better righty hitting hitter than a lefty. He hit righties at a .280 rate, lefties at a .253, and his OPS is 130 points better against righties. So 9 career homers off of lefties in 479 games. So you may end up platooning him a little bit. And just like he can get on base against lefties, but he's not really hitting for a lot of power. He's not doing a lot of damage. He has, again, 939 plate appearances. He has 9 homers and a career .337 slug against lefties. Against righties, it's 110 points higher. So he's probably going to play more against righties than against lefties, despite the fact he's a lefty. He is 28. He will not turn 29 until May. The biggest thing here, like, I love the plate discipline. I love the contact ability. He doesn't swing a ton, okay? His end zone swings 59%. Now, he makes contact when he does that, 93.2%. He just doesn't swing in the zone a lot. That's something Tim Hires talked to us about, and you can go back and watch that show, or if you read the Substack, we wrote that up with some clips in there from when we talked to Tim Hires, the new hitting coach, about getting guys to be more aggressive in the zone, swinging at their pitches. I think Alex Verdugo is a guy that can do that. I think Michael Harris is a guy that needs to do that. He took way too many pitches in the heart of the plate last year. But I like the idea a lot of Alex Verdugo. It does matter what the contract is. He's not on the MLB Trade Rumors predictions. Spot Track, which uses comparable players to make their contract predictions, has him at 4 years and $60 million. I don't know if he's going to get 4 years and $60 million total. That's $15 million a year. This feels like he's in a situation to take a 1 or 2 year deal, try to rebuild his value and re-enter free agency. There's a couple other guys you could see here. Dylan Carlson was non-tendered by the Rays. He had been traded from the Cardinals to the Rays. He is a guy that you have to try to figure out if you can figure out whatever happened to his Rookie of the Year finalist year of 2021. He batted .266 with 18 homers. His batting average has dropped every year since then. His homer totals have dropped every year since then. And I don't really know why, unless you're just thinking the cumulative injuries have added up. He's been on the IL 6 different times in the last 4 seasons. Sprained AC joint, hamstring strain, thumb sprain, ankle strain, oblique strain, wrist strain, like just a lot of muscular and just annoying type of injuries, right? It feels like he's a candidate to sign a 1-year deal. If you think you can fix him, I don't know if Atlanta's lineup and if they're at the position where they can do that, where they can try to fix a guy. But Dylan Carlson's somebody to work for. Jesse Winker may be a veteran they signed to a 1-year deal instead. He played for the Nationals and Mets last year, was traded at the deadline from one to the other. He's a high contact bat, double-digit walk rate in all but 1 season of his career. He's not going to hit a ton of homers. He hasn't hit 20 homers in a season since 2021, and obviously that was in Great American Small Park, so a little bit of a caveat there. He was with Cincinnati, but he's a high contact, lower strikeout bat. I think he had 106 strikeouts in 145 games last year, combined between Washington and New York. So like a 20% strikeout rate, 12.4% walk rate, 4% better than MLB average. He's got a punchable face. You don't love that, right? He doesn't run particularly well. He doesn't defend particularly well. He makes plenty of contact. He's got some decent arm strength. I think it's perfectly reasonable to have Jesse Winker in a platoon with Jared Kelenic when Ronald Acuña Jr. comes back, and have him as an everyday starter in a corner until then. In his career, he's hit righties much better than lefties. 276 against righties, 210 against lefties. 563 career plate appearances against lefties, 14 home runs, 338 slug. So he's another guy that you're going to play more against righties than lefties. But the point here is you have legitimate options to find a lefty hitting outfielder for pretty affordable, that's pretty affordable, that you can improve somewhat. It's a very good analytical team. They are pretty good, especially with the new hitting coach, at getting guys to hit for more power than they did and putting them in position to succeed. I feel like whether it's a Max Kepler, a Michael Conforto, a Jesse Winker, Alex Verdugo, there are plenty of options for the Braves out there. This has been Braves Today for Tuesday, November 26th. Reminder, tomorrow is a mailbag. I need your questions. Tons of ways to get them to us. I'm on Twitter at Crosby Baseball. Show's on Twitter, Braves_today. Email us, contact@bravestoday.com. Leave them in the YouTube comments, whatever else it might be. Until next time, this has been Braves Today.